This video is all about standardized testing, one of the most important topics, one of the hottest topics we're talking about with juniors as we approach the college planning process. So I'm going to begin with this when I talk about testing. Number one, it is January 2021 when I'm recording this video. Testing is going to change rapidly over the next couple of months and into your senior year. So know that the information I'm giving you now is timely to this moment, but it's so important that you keep up on all of your college's updates and information about their testing policies, College Board, ACT, with what tests are running and things like that, because testing is changing a lot through this pandemic and through the college admission changes and trends. So I'm giving you information that I know now and hopefully some information that will help carry you through the next couple of months. Additionally, we'll provide updates, we'll make another video, we'll send things to you as they become really important and timely over the next few months. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, put a couple things here up for you to take a look at. So let's break down a little bit about testing. At this point in time, the PSAT has happened. If you took the PSAT in the fall of your junior year, you've received your scores. Great practice. There's a lot of tools out there between College Board and Khan Academy to take those scores and build a plan so you can be best prepared for the SAT. And of course, there's the ACT. So we've got PSAT, SAT, and ACT. If you've been following any news from College Board, you know that in the month of January, they announced that SAT subject tests were going away, and that's good news for a lot of students who may have had those on their radar. You don't have to worry about those at this point in time. I encourage you to check College Board's website to keep up with those updates. They made some changes and are doing away with the SAT essay portion as well. So if you haven't heard about that yet, about subject tests and the SAT essay going away, definitely check College Board's website. So if you want to register for a test, perhaps, it's the winter right now, you're thinking about the March test, maybe the May or June, or even into the summer or fall of senior year. I put some dates here on the screen. You always want to check College Board's website to make sure those tests are running, that your test center is open. Things can change rapidly and things can change in the days, even sometimes the hours leading up to the test because of our pandemic and what we're going through, school closures, things like that. So it is so important that you don't just register for a test and show up that Saturday morning, that you are really staying on top of any changes that might be going on with that test center. So you've got a couple dates there. It is perfectly fine to test into your senior year. That's no problem. There's absolutely deadlines all through fall and winter of your senior year. So if you see these months on the screen and think, I need a couple more chances to take it, or I can't make those dates, there are absolutely continued chances into senior year. Same goes for the ACT. We've got tests through the winter, spring, summer, fall of senior year. So lots of opportunities left to test. So the big question I get is, should I test? This is a really uncertain time. Our college is remaining test optional. There's a lot to it. And I will say, we're going to give different advice based on the individual student. So what I recommend or what your counselor recommends to you may be very different from your friend, from your sibling who maybe is in the same grade, from your classmate. So don't compare testing plans with one another. It is so important that you focus on your testing plan as an individual. The big question I get a lot is, should I test? My recommendation and across the board is usually, if you can safely and comfortably sit for the SAT or ACT or any standardized test, then go ahead and do it. We're in a different position than we were last winter and spring. There are test centers open. We don't want you driving hours and hours crossing state borders if you don't have to, but there are test centers open here in New Jersey. There are places operating that are holding the test. If you can safely and comfortably test, go ahead. But what you have to remember that is in your corner here in this next year to year and a half is there are a lot of schools that are test optional. Not only were they test optional before COVID, but they went test optional during the pandemic. And as we stand right now in January 2021, many schools are announcing their test optional practice for your class, for the class of 2022. So they're extending that test optional practice another year. Some may extend it another year. Some may go test optional indefinitely. So if you are working right now with a core list of schools you're interested in, make sure you're on their mailing list. Make sure you are checking their official college website for those updates. Just in the last few weeks, We've heard schools from state universities like our own Rutgers University announced their test optional policy would be extended for your class. So for students applying next fall, that's you guys. And we've heard from very selective institutions like Ivy League have recently announced that they're going test optional for another year. So this COVID impact is really giving you all an opportunity to consider test optional as well. So do you submit your scores or not? Well, that's a big question. Are you, number one, going to test? How many times? What do we have to look at? This is very individual, and we spend a lot of time working with our current seniors on whether or not they should submit scores to certain schools or not schools. And we really delved into each student's situation individually. So work with your counselor or myself. And this probably won't happen until senior year, where we really look at whether or not you tested, the scores you earned, and the schools you're applying to. And at that point in time, we can help you determine if those scores should go or if you should remain a test optional applicant. So a lot of information surrounding test optional practices. Utilize your resources, your counselor, myself, and check your official college websites. If you have questions about your individual testing plan, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We absolutely want to talk with you about this fluid, changing topic.